Hello, my name is Masha Knots, and today we're not going to be doing knotting. In fact, we're going to be doing cross-stitch instead. This setup kind of feels like a vlog, which, speaking of vlogs, in my last vlog, I had a whole segment where I showed you where I went to this market, and I looked at like gems and stones and stuff, but I never actually ended up showing you what I bought there, and I thought I would. I got a massive heavy chunk of rose quartz because I like rose quartz and I like pink, as you can see. Anyway, I got a slab of rose quartz and I'm using it as a bookend because it's really heavy and it sits on my bookshelf now, so I like that. But then also I got this geode thing. I have the second half of it, but it's really high up on my shelf and I don't want to go there, so I thought I'd just show you. It looks really cool, except it kind of drops sand all over the place whenever I touch it, but you know, it's worth it. All right, actually, let's get to the topic of the video. My cross-stitch project, which I want to get out. There we go. I haven't made a ton of progress on it. Pretty much stopped right around where I showed you in the vlog, which I'll leave linked in the description if you want to look at it. And I thought I would do a real-time cross-stitch video with you guys since I haven't done one of these since my last cross-stitch project, which also happened to be my first cross-stitch project. I did a video trying cross-stitch for the first time, and then also a real-time knotting one, real-time stitching one. I'll leave both of those linked in the description as well. Anyway, let's get on this. I know this time around that I should not be showing you patterns, which I'm so used to bracelets that I didn't realize I wasn't supposed to do last time, but I did end up blurring it in the video itself, so problem solved, I guess. So this time I will try my best to not show you the pattern. There we go. I do have a picture of what it's supposed to look like in the end. This is what I am doing. It's kind of Christmassy. I'm starting it early because I have much less time than I did last year, and this takes ages. So I'm hoping to get this done, not before Christmas because I don't celebrate Christmas, but before the end of the year since we celebrate the New Year, very similarly to how people celebrate Christmas. And by we, I mean Russian people and I think Slavic people in general, and probably other groups of people too, for which I cannot speak. Anyway, point being, I want to get this done by the end of the year. It is currently the 25th of October as I'm filming this, so it's not even Halloween, but it's fine. Let's get on this. This is what the back currently looks like. I'm trying to keep it neat, but I also don't particularly care if it ends up being a little bit messy. Where am I? I'm in the bottom right corner here. I'm probably going to keep editing to a minimum in this video, but I'm still probably going to end up editing it a little bit, purely because whenever I do one of these, I end up having a lot of pauses when I speak because I'm used to editing my speech, and it's weird if it then results in a bunch of pauses. Like right now, literally like right now, my god. I don't know. I'm not used to speaking like this. Although I do lives every once in a while, which I guess this is kind of like a live, except nobody is live with me at the moment. I did a vlog recently. I actually posted this today as I'm filming it. And in that vlog, I asked a question of whether or not you want me to talk about mental health, because I am someone who struggled with depression for several years. In fact, most of the videos that you have seen on this channel, if they weren't filmed in the last, let's say, 9 months, I was struggling with depression. But in the last 9 months, I have actually been feeling a lot better and I haven't had a depressive episode in 9 months. And in fact, I used to do like journals for where I would track my mood, and I had like several different colors of different like ways of feeling bad, like I would say like anxious or tired or just in general depressed or sad or angry or whatever. Can't find that hole, there we go. And then I would have like one color for feeling good, and that was just like, I felt okay today. So that's kind of a depressing sentiment. I think this is where I need to stop actually. Yeah, 2 stitches before the edge there, so let's go back now. Whereas now, my good days aren't just days where I feel fine. My good days are days where I actually feel good. And in fact, I'm starting to have more good days than bad days. I don't really have bad days, and the bad days that I have aren't really as intense as the bad days that I used to have, which is great. And I was depressed for so long, I didn't really think that it is something that I would get out of, so it's nice that I did, I guess, and I'm hoping that I'm able to stay the way that I feel right now. Obviously, you know, this whole mental health thing is a journey, but I feel a lot more confident now. I can't find this hole again. I feel a lot more confident now that if I do end up feeling bad again, I will be able to get out of that as well. So that's a good sentiment, I guess. And I don't know why I'm sharing this necessarily, but I did share with you guys my experience with depression, so I thought it would be fair as well to share my experience with now feeling better. So there we go. And I thought I would talk a little bit about like what I've been doing to sort of make myself feel better. And this is not necessarily advice, this is just purely me sharing my experience and what has worked for me and what hasn't worked for me. You are of course your own person. If you are struggling with something similar to what I was struggling with, I strongly recommend you do seek help. That is not me, because I am just me and I'm not a professional, but I would like to share some things with you anyway. But first let me figure out what I'm doing here. Alright, 2 to the left and then 2 to the left there, so 2 to the left here is this one. Right, what was I talking about? What I was doing. I ended up finding a therapist, and I was in therapy for just over a year. I started in August. I started in August of 2020. It is now October of 2021, and I am in fact wrapping up my sessions currently with my therapist. We talked about it. I said that like pretty much all of the issues that I came with. I had like a long list of things that I wanted to work through. I've already feel like I've worked through, so we're sort of nearing the end now. We're doing once in 2 week sessions instead of once a week sessions, and we are heading to the finish line, at least now. I always feel like I could come back if I need to, once again, there's no shame in that. But yeah, I did therapy for just over a year, and I feel like that has helped a lot. But not just the therapy in itself, but I think allocating time once every week for an hour where I sat down and I spoke about my feelings, and I also just mentally checked in with myself to see where I was at mentally, how I was doing. I feel like that helped me a lot just in general, like having that sort of time slot once a week where I dedicated my time specifically to thinking about my mental health currently and how I can make it better, and actively working to help myself. And then also just throughout the week, because of these sessions, whenever something happened, positive or negative, I sort of thought about how this was affecting me and what, if anything, I would like to bring into the next session. So just having this time allocated not only helped during that time, but then also helped throughout the week to sort of think more about myself and my mental health and where I'm at, to just check in with myself more frequently. And I think that that is a great benefit of therapy as well. Not only the actual therapy part of it, but just, this is getting really loose. I'm not very familiar with cross stitch. Is there a way? Like, am I just not tightening this hard enough? Should I be tightening it harder? I feel like it's getting really loose really quickly. Maybe I should tighten it a bit more. There's no more to go though. That might be the problem as well. There's nowhere for it to go, I don't think. So yeah, taking that time to think about my mental health, to check in with myself, to allow myself room to think. Because a lot of the time, I know that probably this is relatable to a lot of people, but I would get really caught up with the everyday, and I didn't really stop to think about myself and what I'm doing and how I'm feeling. And just making that decision, I think, honestly, when you are depressed, and I was depressed for many years, I think when you are depressed, it is very difficult to do that first step, to realize that you are struggling and to ask for help. I think that is probably the most difficult step in the entire healing process. And if anyone is currently in that process of trying to reach out for help, I urge you to do it, and I know that it is incredibly difficult, and I am proud of you either way for just trying to help yourself, whether or not you are reaching out for help. Getting help for yourself is really difficult. This is a pretty heavy topic for a video. Maybe I should have put some kind of trigger warning. I might do that in editing, actually. Checking in with myself was step one for me. No, I was going to say not checking in with myself. I was going to say making the decision to help myself was step one for me. And then checking in was what helped me start that process. But then I decided that I want to try different things and see how they worked for me personally. There's a lot of different techniques that people give out and people use in terms of helping their mental health. And every person is unique. Every struggle is unique. Every situation is unique. And things that help other people might not necessarily help you. Through therapy, I've discovered that I have ADHD, which I never thought about before and never knew. I'm still currently in the process of getting formally diagnosed in the UK, but it is taking literal years. I have started the process about a year ago because I really discovered it early on in therapy. I started the process about a year ago and they are still refusing to see me until I fix some other health problems that I have, which they think might be related to my symptoms of ADHD. But I highly doubt it since my symptoms of ADHD started in childhood, but whatever. Still getting diagnosed is what I'm trying to say, so perhaps take my words with that with a grain of salt maybe. But I am fairly confident that ADHD is what I have because the symptoms fit me pretty much one-to-one, and I did have multiple discussions with my therapist who is unfortunately unable to diagnose me officially in the UK, which is a whole separate issue. But my point is that a lot of the advice that I was given in terms of like battling depression and just generally helping your mental health didn't really work for me as someone with ADHD. Like, I don't know, do this, do that. I would forget that is kind of my problem. Not only am I depressed and I kind of don't really have a lot of willpower to help myself in general, but I also have ADHD and I forget to do things that I decided I'm gonna do to help myself. So that was kind of an issue for me, which took a lot of work, and I'm currently still working to help myself with that. Where am I at? Yeah, okay, one down again. But what I decided to try is doing little things one by one, instead of taking up a bunch of different habits at once and deciding that from now on, I'm gonna get 8 hours of sleep, I'm gonna wake up at 6 a.m. every morning, I'm gonna do exercises and then have a healthy breakfast and, you know, journal, whatever, blah, 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 whatever people constantly recommend for mental health stuff. I decided that instead of doing that, I'm gonna take things one by one. Take one habit that I want to try, that I think is going to help me, and try it for a little bit, see how it works, discuss with my therapist, check in with myself to see how the results of that are going, and adjust accordingly. And if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. There's no shame in trying something new and doing other things. It's okay to try. So that is what I decided. And the first thing that I started doing was trying to work with my brain instead of against it, specifically with ADHD. I'm talking about that specifically. And by saying that, I don't have many examples because I have ADHD and I forget things, but one of the things that does come to mind for me is putting things, creating spaces for things, because one of the things that really stressed me out and put me into a state of being completely overwhelmed and anxious and like having kind of panic attacks really, was just feeling like everything is out of control and disorganized all around me. This video is going to be very long, I'm sorry. Feeling like everything is a mess around me, like stuff is everywhere, like nothing has a place and I can't figure out where to put it. One of those things for me was string. Actually, I would make bracelets and stuff and I would have string lying around my table constantly because I want to keep the string I'm making a bracelet with. I don't want to put it away before I'm done with the bracelet in case I need to replace a string if one snaps, or for whatever other reasons I want to keep the string that I'm using around. And usually that would result in just string being everywhere. I hated that. That made me anxious. Where am I in the pattern? Actually, before I start this row, I might actually get into this. Instead of trying to work against my brain and forcing myself to put strings away as soon as I'm done with them, I created this. I just bought a little container that is specially designed for me to put my strings and unfinished bracelets in. See, I have my unfinished bracelets in here, and also a bunch of string that I'm currently working with. And even if I'm not currently working with it, if I just have string laying around my table for whatever reason, I will put it here, and then at a designated time, I will come here and I will sort through it, and I would either put strings away, put bracelets away, or decide what I want to do with it in that moment. But now, I have a place for it, and string is not always constantly all around my desk. I have created a place for it. And I did the same. I don't know if you can see. You can't see, but in my vlog you've seen I got a shelf recently and I bought a stack for papers. Like, it's a special place for me to put papers now, and I have papers constantly. It's either like bills or medical documents or bank statements or, I don't know, just mail. I get a lot of mail for some reason. Adulting is mail, I guess. But before, all of those letters and all of that paper would just be all over my room, and I would constantly be stressed about the fact that I have letters everywhere, and I felt like I wasn't doing enough because I had to sort through them or whatever. And obviously if it's urgent, I did actually have to sort through them, but a lot of the time I could just keep them there until I actually need it. Like if it has a number or something that I need to use, I don't need to use it until I need to use it, you know what I mean? So, how do I? I forgot how to get rid of the end of the string. I think I need to just like needle it through because this string is getting really short. I think I just need to poke it through like this. I haven't cross-stitched in like a year. And now I have to somehow get this off. Alright, let me get more string. That was string number 8. Let's grab a strand. This part is kind of tricky. Fold it in half, and then I use one of these, which is a needle threader. But you basically put the needle threader into the loop of the needle, then you put the string into the loop of the needle threader, and you pull it through the needle. And there you go, the needle is threaded. Fold it through, like so. And we've got a new needle. Don't use my videos as tutorials for cross stitch, I beg you. I do not know what I'm doing. And this is my second ever cross stitch project. Anyway, finding places for things and creating systems for myself. Like for example, I have a laundry basket. It's in my bathroom. But whenever I would go to bed, I would just drop my socks under my bed or like next to my bed. I would not go to my laundry basket. And I used to feel super guilty for doing that because I would then have a pile of socks because I would inherently forget to put that sock into the laundry bin. And I would just have a pile of socks and I would feel super guilty for having that there. Instead of feeling super guilty about that, because what is that really for? It's not helping anyone. I now have a little, what is it called? Like a bucket thing? Like a tiny little thing that goes under my bed that I now drop my socks into. And then whenever it's time to do laundry, I just grab that from under my bed and dump it straight into the washing machine. And there we go, problem solved. No shame required. What I'm trying to say is I try to find solutions nowadays to work with my brain instead of against it. I'm not trying to force myself to do things the way that I think I have to do them necessarily. Instead, I'm trying to find ways in which it works for me. And I'm trying to get rid of shame associated with things like that because it's not helping anyone. Do you know who I love? I love Domestic Blisters on TikTok. I hope I said that right, but I'll leave the name up. She is amazing. She makes me feel so welcome and just chill. She gives a lot of advice in terms of mental health and care tasks, which is what she calls it, like home tasks and such. I tucked that tail in pretty well. Good for me. So I started doing that and I noticed that that helped significantly. And then I started doing other tasks, like for example in my vlog I mentioned that I am currently working on my sleep, and I'm working on not using my phone for an hour before bed, or at least not using it to scroll social media. I can still use it to talk to family or my husband or whatever, but I'm not using it to use social media anymore. And I'm not using my PC screen to use social media either, but I can still use it to like play Spotify or maybe a YouTube video with classical music or something. And I try to turn off overhead lighting. I try to get really cozy with my candle, with my salt lamp, with my just regular lamp. And I put on some chill music and I just vibe for an hour before bed doing something really de-stressing, like cross stitch for example, or like making bracelets, or like journaling, or reading, or something like that. And then I go into bed having sort of meditated a little bit, I guess I could call it that, right? Like it's my personal form of meditation, just de-stressing. And then I feel like I get better sleep. That was another habit that I introduced, which doesn't always work, but I am trying currently. I've been doing it for just over a month now, and the times that I do it, it actually helps quite significantly. So I'm still working on getting that as a habit. But then what other things have I started doing? Making time, designated time, and creating routines to do the things that I love. I have an allocated time to reading, which is one of my most favorite hobbies. I read on the train, on the tube, to work and from work. It takes me about an hour to get to and from work, so I have 2 designated full hours of reading time every single workday. And that not only helps me with my journeys, because they're less boring, but then it also greatly helps me with my mental health in terms of doing the things that I like doing. So I have allocated time to do things like that. I have an allocated time throughout the day where I just journal, either about my books, or about my day, or about my mood, or just planning videos, for example, stuff like that. I have a designated time where I journal and I figure out what I want to do. This is also not something I do very frequently because ADHD, I forget to journal, but whenever I do it, I very much enjoy it, and I like to designate a time to do it so I don't forget. That is something that I'm currently working on as well. But yeah, just having habits that I'm trying to set habits for myself, to do things for myself. This video is so long I had to start a whole new file because my camera only records for 30 minutes. I do apologize, but if you do like long videos, let me know, because I feel guilty whenever I post super long videos, but maybe I shouldn't if you guys like them. Where am I? I am going to the left. I don't usually go to the left in my cross-stitch projects. Making time for myself. Stopping myself from feeling guilty and actually learning to relax. From feeling guilty from, like, relaxing, I mean. Because I really do put the pressure on myself to constantly be productive and constantly be doing something. I am actively trying to unlearn that and to just allow myself to enjoy my time and fully relax and do things just for me without having to have any kind of productivity assigned to it, and understanding that my happiness and my relaxation is productivity in and of itself, as in happiness is productive to my life. All of those kinds of things I'm currently working on and I'm trying to be better at. And I don't know necessarily why I'm making this video, and I mean, cross-stitch I can understand why I'm making, people have been asking for it, but I mean why I'm talking about mental health and stuff. But it just felt like something that I wanted to share. Maybe there is someone out there who needed to hear something like this, that it is okay to relax and to just exist and to not have to be productive all the time. Maybe there is someone out there who needed that extra push or extra motivation to go seek out help. But also maybe there is someone out there who wants to seek out help but isn't necessarily ready for that yet and needs the reassurance to hear that that is okay too and you are valid. And maybe there is someone out there who needs to hear that I am rooting for you, and that struggling is okay sometimes, and that even if it feels like it's never gonna end, and that you're always going to feel this way, that is not true. I was depressed for 5 years. I started getting depressed in the second to last year of high school, in which I was 16? And I haven't had a depressive episode in the last 9 months, and I'm 23 now. So I guess 22 was when I stopped having these depressive episodes, at least for now. So yeah, like I struggled for a really long time, and I thought that there was never really gonna be an end to it, and that I was always gonna feel this way, and now I feel good. More days than I don't. And not just okay good. Not just I'm alright, nothing bad happened today, or I didn't feel negative today. Good. I actually feel happy most days than I don't, and I didn't think that that could happen to me. So if it could happen to me, it could happen to you, is all I'm trying to say. And yeah, I just wanted to say that for people that needed to hear it. And I know that I'm not really anybody in your life, but just thought you might want to hear it anyway. I'm gonna end this video, I think, after I finish this row, because I've been filming for 35 minutes, that's a bit much. Probably gonna cut this down a little bit because there's a lot of pauses in between my sentences, so that might make this video a little shorter. But I also wanted to say one more thing. I was having talks with my therapist about potentially ending our sessions, and I was saying that I did that wrong. And I was saying that I feel anxious about ending our sessions because we've been doing this for over a year and I've learnt to get used to them. They've become sort of a constant in my life, and I was nervous that if we stopped doing our sessions, which is what we're currently working towards, that I would fall back into the same negative thinking patterns and negative habits that I had that negatively impacted my mental health. And you know what she said? She said that if that happens, you can always come back. and that will be okay. That stopping these sessions is a good thing, because it means that I feel better, and it means that I feel like I can sort of handle it on my own for now. But if I ever need help again, she will be there. And that is okay. And there is no shame in asking for help. And I like that message. I like that message a lot. So I'm amplifying that message. Alright, I'm gonna finish this video off right about here. I hoped you enjoyed it. This was a bit different. I don't usually go into such detail about mental health topics, but I thought I would. It felt like it needed to be said today for some reason. But I hope you liked it. If you did, feel free to leave a comment, and maybe leave a comment for someone who could be currently struggling at the moment. Maybe leave a nice comment of support for someone. I think that would be a nice thing that we could do for each other. This is normally the point in the video in which I advertise my Patreon, but I'm going to be honest, it feels a little bit weird to do that right now, because the video doesn't really match. Instead, I'm just going to thank the patrons that I currently have, and their names are going to appear on screen, and that will be it for that segment. But I do thank you guys so much, and I'm going to say that there are new videos coming. I'm going to be doing more tutorials and more bracelet focused content. I just felt like doing a cross stitch video now because I started this cross stitch project, and I thought that you left some comments asking for more cross stitch videos because you seemed to like them last time. But most of my content is bracelet related. If this is the first video of mine you are seeing, I usually make friendship bracelets out of embroidery floss. And yeah, thank you for watching, I guess. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in the next one. I did not measure this out properly. I'm like getting to the end of this sentence, but I haven't gotten to the end of the project yet. I will see you in the next one. Bye!